Hello and welcome to my channel. We're going to work on a new art journal page today. I hope you're liking this series. This is the last one of the month and I'd like to know if you'd like me to continue. So leave a comment below and we'll see what happens. Here we're just going through some items that I'm going to use on my art journal page. I'm picking out a blank sheet from my In Out book by Grumbacher, and we'll set that aside and get started. Today I'm going to use a technique that's very easy and I use on some greeting cards lots of times. I'll put down a layer of gesso, and the reason I do this is just to make my paper a little bit stronger. You wouldn't need to do this because we're going to cover with acrylic paint and that would create our non-porous surface. But I like to put this down sometimes to make my paper a little bit sturdier. I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to add, like I said, some more acrylic paint. And the colors that I chose were a real pretty pink and a pretty orange. I'll leave all the products listed below in the description area for you in case you want to look anything up. Well, January's over. Can you believe it? That went really fast for me. Here's the pink, and I believe it's called Bubblegum. It's just an inexpensive craft paint, and I'm using a expired gift card to spread my paint. I liked this color and I really like it with the orange. This orange is called Pumpkin Patch. And I'm just having a bit of fun here, and I noticed, whoops, I covered too much of my pink, so I went back and added more. Just grab two colors and have some fun with it. It's all about creating and seeing where that creativity takes you. I just give you the ideas and the techniques. The creativity comes from you. Here I thought maybe I would add a little bit of white to the background. I had a little bit of paint left in I put in my gesso and I wanted to get it out of there. Then I wasn't really liking how the white gesso made the paint get almost kind of like a pastel color, so I went over it with a little bit more of the orange to brighten it up. Here I'm going to use a reverse stencil technique. I put the pink over the orange and I'm wiping it up with my baby wipe. I really like this technique and I feel like I use it a lot lately. If something just really works, I like to practice it a bit and see how I can make that technique work for my backgrounds. This is a stencil by Tim Holtz and I will leave it linked below. Here I'm going to put my orange on top of my pink and use that same technique. I really like how it turns out. It gives it some texture too, so we're going to need to dry the background. I'm just going to use a makeup sponge that I have cut down and my gesso, and I'm using it on a piece of packaging, and I do that so I can kind of recycle that. And I'm just dabbing it through another Tim Holtz stencil. Then I was thinking, I have this product that I bought a while ago and it is called Bleed Proof White by Doc P.H. Martens, and I thought, well, let's see if that makes it a lot more white than the gesso. So you'll see I try it out here and it does make it quite a bit whiter, but I wasn't going to redo what I already had down. Just something to note to myself for in the future if I want the white to be real bright. Here's where I was thinking about it, and try out a little bit of it to see the difference. It makes a little bit of a difference. I do like this product, and this small little jar I think is going to last me probably a lifetime. You don't need much of it at all. Here I'm just using the bit of that gesso. I didn't want to waste it, so I thought I would put it down on another blank page in my art journal book and go ahead and set that aside. Everything's dry again, so we're going to go with a few more stencils. And here we're going to use a stamp. It is a texture stamp, and it looks like canvas. And I'm getting too much of squared impressions, and I'm not liking that. So I'm using a baby wipe real quick before my black archival ink dries, and I'm trying to wipe up some of those edges. I'm thinking that maybe my stamp is just too big and bulky, so I'm giving it a cut in half, and I think maybe that will solve the problem. We'll see what happens. Sorry about being off of camera there a little bit. I'm just putting some black down and giving some texture in the background. Here I got a few more of those black squares that I'm really not liking. I'm working on this piece today, and I'm creating it to put down my word for the new year. And my word for the new year is going to be focus. And then I also liked two words that I had written down was pause and reflect. So here I'm using another background stamp, and I'm just inking part of the stamp, and I think that's a better way to not get those squares. I'll link this stamp below, and it's by Wendy Vecchi, I believe, and I'll link it like I said. So my word is focus, and I really want to focus this year on my business. That is my number one priority. Here is a stencil I'm using again by Tim Holtz. I really love it, and I'm using again some black embossing paste, and this gives a really great black shiny texture to the background. I really like this paste. I'm trying to use up some stuff in my stash, and I think this is a product that I will probably be using again and purchasing again. Gotta really let that embossing paste dry. I'm trying to be real careful so I don't smudge it. And then I put down the word focus and pause and reflect. I lost a little footage here, and I apologize. I was having some issues today with my video equipment. The focus I put down with a stencil, and the pause and reflect was printed on a piece of tissue paper, and I just put it down on my piece with some matte medium. Here I'm using a stamp by Dilutions, and it just has some great circles, and I wanted to give that piece an edged border, and again giving it a dry so I don't smear anything. There's not a lot of colors to the back. We've got the pink, the orange, white, and black, but it really does pop to me, and it really made kind of geometric background. Here I'm using one of my markers, and I'm just adding some definition to those stenciled words so that they were all finished and joined together so it wasn't so stenciled. Trying to wonder what I should do here, and I was trying to get my paint marker to work so I could add some mark making, and I was having problems with my paint marker. This piece was a little difficult for me, and sometimes that's the way it goes. So I thought, well, I'll just dab it on here and do some dots and give it some dimension by using that. It worked a little bit, but I think that my paint markers are a little dried out. Time to purchase some more, perhaps. If anyone has a paint marker that they really, really love for their mixed media or art journaling, I would love you to leave a comment below and let me know which kind you like the best. I've got quite a few different kinds, and it seems like they all get dried out for me. Here I'm using that black chalk marker, and I'm just adding that edge to the sides that I love so much. I like to smudge it with my finger, and it gives it a real creamy texture and a great border. Still fighting with those different paint markers there up to the right. Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit more. Here's another paint marker, but that one was way too thin. Another paint marker seemed to be more dried out. So I just thought, well, forget it. I'm just going to use some of that no bleed white and a little bit of water and create some white splatters. That's what I wanted on the piece, was some white splatters. So I should have just done that in the beginning instead of got all frustrated with my dried up ink. Thanks for watching this art journal page, and I'll have more if there's a request for it in February. Let me know what you think, and I'll keep creating if you'll keep watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you in February.